Welcome to the B-Max Sports Podcast.
Hey, we got 30 minutes for the rest of our lives. 30 minutes for the rest of our lives.
Make sure to subscribe on all platforms.
Let's be great. Let's be great.
Hope you enjoy the show.
Yo, it's Tate and Josh in the morning. You know what time it is, guys. Josh, how was your day, my friend?
What's going on, buddy? It's been very eventless, as so have been the past 2.5 weeks. Eventless. I have an eventless life.
Same. I found out today I go back to work Sunday night. I don't know if it's for the whole week or if it's just they need help on a changeover Sunday night. So I will be back at work Sunday night. So first on today's list, probably the most popular topic on the internet right now is the Ahmaud Arbery case. Me and Hutch have been looking into it, but for those of you who don't know what's going on, I got a short little clip I'm going to play for you guys. It's like 2 minutes, I think. It just gives you a little background on what happened, and you hear Ahmaud's mother speak too. So pause and we'll listen to this real quick.
Family of a Georgia man is asking for justice more than 2 months after he was shot and killed. No one has been arrested or charged in the death of 25-year-old Ahmaud Arbery. Police say he was chased by 2 men who suspected him of a crime. Arbery's family says all he was doing was jogging. Omar Villafranca talked to his mother and the family's lawyer. Interviews you will see only on CBS This Morning.
Ahmaud is no longer with us, and he's not with us because 2 men followed him while he was jogging and killed him.
Ahmaud Arbery was shot and killed in Brunswick, Georgia. We spoke to his mother, Wanda Jones.
What do you think should have already happened to these men?
An arrest should have been made already.
According to neighbors, there had been break-ins in the area. Arbery was allegedly spotted at a home that was under construction before he began to run. 911 calls came in moments later.
And you said someone's breaking into it right now?
No, it's all open. It's under construction. And he's running right now. There he goes right now.
Okay, what is he doing?
He's running down the street.
According to a police report, Gregory McMichael told police he saw Arbery run by and recognized him from the break-ins. According to the report, McMichael and his 34-year-old son Travis grabbed a shotgun and a pistol and got into their truck to go after Arbery. Once they caught up to him, Gregory McMichael told investigators Arbery violently attacked Travis and the two fought over the shotgun before Travis shot twice and killed him. The prosecutor who previously had the case says Travis acted out of self-defense and the pursuers acted within the scope of Georgia's citizens arrest statute.
It essentially deputizes all citizens to go out and perform police functions. They did not do that properly.
Lee Merritt, an attorney for Arbery's family, says he believes there have not been any indictments because Gregory McMichael is a former investigator for the Brunswick District Attorney's Office. That's why the case was transferred to the Ware County District Attorney.
There's more than enough evidence for a case for murder.
What do you think those men should have done?
They should have waited until the authorities arrived. They had already made a call to 911.
People defending the McMichaels point to Arbery's previous brushes with the law. He had a shoplifting conviction. His mother said this has nothing to do with what happened, and her son is the victim. Gregory McMichael told us since this case is still being investigated, he has no comment. Tony?
Still a lot of questions in that story. Omar, thank you very much.
So that's it. That's the clip we got. I'm going to give you my thoughts on it first, and I'll let Josh go. At some point, you have to let the police do their job. I don't give a shit about his prior convictions, run-ins with the law. I don't care about any of that. These guys literally saw a guy that they recognize. I mean, anyway, that's what they say. That's their side of the story. There's 2 sides to every story. Unfortunately, we're not going to hear Ahmaud's side because they, in my opinion, murdered him. So what happened is, like you heard in the video, he was jogging around. He took this route several times, according to his family and his friends. He would go jogging for exercise, especially during this quarantine period. It's one of the only times you're going to get outside is if you go exercise, clear your mind, I've done it. I go to the hospital occasionally and run around the track, walk around the track just to get outside. So these guys, what gave them the right to do what they did? I'm not sure. If they don't get convicted, we need to change some laws in Georgia. I don't think that what they did should be legal. I think it's bullshit. I mean, for them, what did they expect him to do when they pulled up on him and held him at fucking gunpoint? He's fearing for his life. Of course he's gonna try to stop them from fucking shooting him. I've seen the video of the fight. It's hard to watch. I've only watched it one time. I'm not gonna watch it again. I don't like to see people get murdered in cold blood. These dudes will, and I have full confidence that charges will be brought. Now, whether they get convicted or not is a different story. It really depends on the jury. But if I'm on the jury, these dudes fucking murdered him. I don't give a shit. They killed him. And it upsets me that somebody lost a family member. He had a prior shoplifting fucking charge. Are you kidding me? Who cares what? I've got a former DUI charge. Should I be stalked by my fucking neighbors every time I pull out the lawn or out my driveway and held at gunpoint? No, because I'm going to shoot the motherfuckers. And if he would have had a gun, it might have been a different story, but he was clearly unarmed. I mean, you can see in the video, he doesn't reach for a gun, nothing. He's trying to get the shotgun from the dude so he doesn't fucking kill him. In my opinion, he was fighting for his life. It's a fight he lost, and I hope to God that justice is served in this case. These guys deserve to be in prison. You can't just go, I don't give a fuck what the law says. The law's wrong if it says that you can do that. Citizen's arrest is one thing, but they murdered him. Like if they were to pull up on him and be like, hey, stop right here, the cops are on the way, we call 911. There's a lot better ways to go about this shit. He was murdered in cold blood, in my opinion, and that's my opinion. So, Josh, take it from here. Tell me what you think.
From watching the video, because Tate, you sent me a link to the video earlier. I can't remember if it was yesterday or the day before. And like you said, it was extremely disturbing just to see people act like that. Whether it was racially charged, like they've been saying, I don't know. I don't know the guys. I don't, like I said, I don't know the situation or anything about the people who did the actual shooting. I do think it was a cold-blooded murder. Now, as far as the law goes, just because you make a citizen's arrest does not mean you have the right to shoot anybody, especially outside of your property. I know a lot about Georgia state law when it comes to defending your home or defending yourself when you're in public. And I really, I don't know if any jury would be willing to look at that video and say that it was self-defense, because when I'm looking at it right now, and obviously I'm not a lawyer, I'm not a judge. When I look at that video, they went out to find him. They went out after him. And if I'm walking down my street and somebody rolls up on me and has a gun on me, we're having issues. Now, whether he was a part of the robbery or not, or the robbery that was going on, and they might have seen him up in that house. When we were kids, we used to go in and out of, our neighborhood was fairly undeveloped. So, yeah, we would go and sneak up into people's houses being built and sit in the rafters and drink some beer and smoke cigarettes because, we were kids. That's what stupid kids do. I don't really know what a 25 to 27-year-old man would be doing up in somebody else's property. That's where I have a problem. Now, whether it was the people who committed the shooting's property, I do not know.
It was not their property. From what I gathered, the dudes from the 911 call, and what I can gather, they said the property he was entering was undeveloped. So that means they don't have furniture, they don't have TVs, they don't have none of that shit in there. What the fuck is he stealing from them?
Well, and that's fine and good. No matter what, and especially you got to really know where you are. When you're in Brunswick, you're talking about you're in the deep South. Nobody likes you trespassing on their property, whether it's undeveloped or not. I'm not right. Getting, especially if it's not their property, they had no business. Yes, call the law.
Not their property.
Yeah, I look out for my neighbors look out for me. I have a close buddy of mine who my neighbor saw him in the yard and was just staring. I mean, my neighbor, God bless her, she's 85 years old. There wouldn't have been much she could have done, but I mean, she let him know she's seen him. But like I said, it's good. It's good to watch out for your neighbors, but at a certain point, that's not your property. Like you have no right to go and literally hunt a man down for doing that. And I can see both. I mean, I obviously cannot see hunting him down and gunning him down, but I could definitely see where they would want to call the police and let them know, especially if there's been a bunch of break-ins and things like that. Now, does the shoplifting charge mean anything? Really
I don't think
doesn't.
so.
I don't think it means anything. I'm not saying that dude's a thief, but obviously, and like I said, I'm not saying people don't change. Obviously, he's got some jackrabbit in him. I mean, he might have been the one who was stealing the stuff. And there's ways that you could go about finding out if he was. And I mean, you could go through the certain channels through law enforcement and be like, okay, this guy's been sneaking around property near our houses. There's been a bunch of stuff. They could get a warrant and search for the stuff that has been missing. Now, if they find that stuff on his property, okay, that's how you go about something like this.
Right.
But
exactly.
I mean,
He was leaving. Like, my thing is, if they did suspect him of breaking into the property, they said before they called the cops that they saw him on somebody's property. Well, at the point where they've called the cops, he's running down the road. He is no threat to them, no threat to anybody in that neighborhood. Unarmed, clearly unarmed. I mean, he's literally got on gym shorts and a t-shirt. If you have a gun in your waistline, it's not going. I mean, it's hard to hold a gun in your waistline in gym shorts. So I'm just going to say it because I wear gym shorts around my house all the time. If I hear something outside, I'll stick my gun in my gym shorts and it'll fall right out. Especially if you're running, that shit's going to fall out. So he's clearly unarmed. At this point, you've got to let the police do their job.
yeah, and
You got a description of him. He's on foot. He's not going far before the cops get there.
And like I said, I completely agree with you that what they did from that video, that's cold-blooded murder.
Exactly. And
So,
they were
I
like,
mean,
he said they violently attacked him. Are you fucking kidding me? How did he violently attack you? He
Well,
never
and-
threw it in the video. I never seen him throw a punch. I never seen him try to throw a punch. The first thing he did, they jumped right out on him. They were in his fucking face with a shotgun. All he did was try to grab the shotgun. They were pointing it at him. He was trying to get it away from him, is what it looked like to me. And Buddy just blasted. And then the
to
poor
me-
guy fucking tries to run away from him. If he had a gun or was any threat trying to fight him, I feel like he still would have been combative after he got shot. He tried to run away.
From what I understand about the Georgia Stand Your Ground law, which is if you're in a parking lot or out in public, if somebody poses immediate threat to you and your family members, you have the right to protect yourself and you have the right to protect your family. I don't see that covering this situation.
No, hell no,
I
they're
don't
in
see it
cars.
covering this situation at all because they did run up on him. If anybody could have used the Stand Your Ground
Him.
law, it's this young Aubrey man. I mean,
Exactly. It's
But,
bullshit because if there's no immediate threat because the fucker he's on foot.
and
You're in a vehicle, you could easily get away. He's no threat. No chance.
I don't see him being a threat in that way. Now, if it was in
No.
a situation where Aubrey was in their yard,
Yeah,
then
that's different. Yeah.
Georgia has a castle law which says that my property is basically my castle. Now, it's one of the better laws that help people who support and want to protect their family with 2A. Because it allows you to, if someone comes in your yard and you feel like they are a threat to your property, they can catch the smoke.
Yeah.
And like I said, I don't see those two, the Stand Your Ground and the castle law, are some of the most, beneficial to a person's protection of the state of Georgia. And I don't see this situation falling under either one of these, blanketed under either one of these laws. So I really do think that when this does come, and after this video came out, the public is going to demand something to be done.
Oh, yeah.
So,
And that's the only reason I feel like, because I read the story last week. I actually read the story. There was no video, but I read the story. I was like, I was skeptical, honestly, because like I said, there's always two sides to each story. But seeing the video is what did it for me. I was like, there's no fucking way. I mean, there's no way that's justified. I was like, And it didn't tell me that he was a former detective or whatever for the district attorney for Brunswick, whatever.
And
But
that's real. That's what really
that's
makes it
convenient,
odd.
right?
That's what really makes it odd to me is that if he was a former detective, I mean, he's obviously in law enforcement. He should know that's a bad shoot.
Yeah, that's a
I
bad
mean, and
situation
so,
to put yourself in. Why would you chase
but
him in the first place?
my thing is too, like, I don't understand why, because at first I'm like you, I've already seen this story when it was just an article. I didn't see the video. And I didn't want to make any comments on it because, like I said, I don't know both sides of the story. He could have very well been in his yard. It didn't. I mean, it didn't say when that story came out. But now that we have stuff that's kind of come out and things that have come to light, it is really odd. Now, whether him being a detective has anything with him being arrested yet or not, I don't know. But it's a bad situation. It really
Yeah.
is, and it's extremely sad that a young man lost his life. Now, whether he was into some things he shouldn't have been, I don't know. We're
Well,
probably
most of the
never going
time,
to know.
if you look in the video, it's broad daylight. But I mean, he's not. If you're going to break into some shit and steal some shit, one, you're gonna have a car to carry the shit. You're not fitting because he was a couple miles from his house. Two, you're not gonna do the shit in broad daylight. I feel like that's a bad move in general.
Well, there's been
Because they're
FBI studies that show that actually, a lot of people they get security systems and they only arm them at night. There's been a lot of studies by the FBI that shows that people actually do um, break into homes more often during daylight hours because you could see somebody up in somebody's yard and maybe it looks like they're doing some yard work or maybe it looks like they're some kind of serviceman. And if they're moving things in and out, and there's been a lot of studies that show that people, if you have an alarm system, keep them. I mean, if you're not at home, keep them on during the day because a lot of people actually do break in more often during the daytime because it's more likely that people are not home.
right. See, I would agree with that, except during this quarantine. I mean, everybody's at home, especially in an undeveloped place. These guys, they're probably out working on the stuff. I would guess. And then if he's stealing shit, what can you possibly steal on foot? And you're gonna look real
Oh,
fucking
I
weird
agree with you. I agree with you.
running down the road with a fucking TV in your hand. You know what I mean? Like that's fucking
And see
like what the
what
fuck?
bothers me about this too, even the whole other situation, is things like this make it where there might be changes to laws that help people protect their families. And when you abuse situations like this, which did not call for any kind of gun violence in my eyes whatsoever.
No, they had him 2-on-1.
Yeah,
Like
so
what the
I
fuck?
mean,
Is he fitting are you that
it
scared?
didn't call. So I mean, that could end up hurting people who do own firearms. That there may be laws that are changed.
Right,
So like I said, it kind of worries me just because in the political climate that we're in today, this very well could change laws that do benefit us for the better.
right,
And
exactly.
so, I mean, just be smart. I mean,
Don't be doing no dumb shit like this.
if
That's fucking stupid.
and I know a lot of people who listen to this because I know a bunch of people who live in Dublin. Just about everybody carries a gun in their vehicle
Right.
because that's how it is inside. Just, I mean, make smart decisions. I mean, me myself, when I go to if I go and drink with some friends or go out, and if there's any kind of alcohol involved, I don't even carry my firearm because at that point, you are going to be where you might not be able to make your best judgment.
Exactly.
And a bullet lasts. I mean, that's not something you can take back. That's not
Right.
something that you can apologize for. I mean, a bullet's permanent. It's just like a tattoo. It ain't. I mean, there's once you decide you're going to pull that trigger, there ain't no coming back from that.
Right.
So
Yeah.
just, I mean, I think a lot of people. I've been around guns my entire life, so I think a lot of people, if you're new to the firearm world and you've got something that you got it for home protection or you got it for personal protection, because like I said, these days are uncertain. And a lot of people, I mean, I think within May there was 1.7 million firearms bought in the United States, and it was firearm purchases were up by 76%. So
Yep.
obviously, I mean, that's not all going to be new gun owners, but I mean, out of 1.7 million, there's probably a lot
quite a
of people
few
that are new
Yeah.
gun owners. There are a lot of really good. There's a place in Macon that there's a lot of really good places that will train you to use that firearm, train you to recognize circumstances where you can and can't use that firearm. I've never personally been to one because, like I said, I've grown up around firearms my entire life. Every firearm I know down to the firing pin. Like, I mean, I know a lot about guns. I've learned to use guns over the many years that I've carried. Just, I mean, within hunting, personal protection, things like that. So I think a lot of this we can learn is just that you need, when you carry something that can cause damage like that, you need to know what you've got.
Right. Precisely. I agree. All right, enough about this and these guys need to watch their backs, the guys that committed the shooting. I can't remember their names, but their names mean nothing to me. But there's a lot of pissed off people about this, and I happen to be one of them. Like, you can't just do that kind of shit, especially, I mean, it's just bad. It's a bad situation. But we're going to move on. I saw an article yesterday or day before. Nicolas Cage will play Joe Exotic in Tiger King scripted series. I don't know if it's going to be on Netflix. I'm sure that's where it's going to be. But I really wanted to see, what's the guy off Eastbound and Down? What's his name? Do you know him?
You're talking about
I want to say his name's Danny, but I don't think that's it.
who
Fuck, hold
played
on, I'm gonna
it?
have to look it up. Fuck, I'm gonna have to look it up. I really wanted him to play because he kind of looks like Joe Exotic, and he's fucking wild. Hold on, just a second, let me look it up. But he's wild, and it's just funny to me. Danny McBride's his name. So I really wanted him to play Joe Exotic, but Nicolas Cage, I mean, fuck, that's a good actor. So I'll be really excited to see what this series entails. I don't know exactly what it's going to be about. If it's going to be about Joe's life or just about the TV show we've seen or what. I don't know where it's going to start, where it'll end.
When I saw that you had on the notes you had Tiger King scripted series, I was gonna say, dude, I don't even know if I'm gonna waste my time watching this because
I'm going to.
this stuff is unfolded. But if it's got Nicolas Cage, and I mean, obviously the man's an extremely successful actor, so it's probably going to be something worth watching. Just because,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think he's going to be in something that he knows is garbage.
Right, exactly. But I think it's going to be worthwhile just because I love Tiger King. I'd love to see some more reality shows like that. That shit's hilarious. Just like White Trash, Central America, fucking dude living the American dream, doing all kinds of crazy shit, running for governor, running for president. That's hilarious, dude. Moving on, Trevor Plouffe. I don't know if you guys know him. I've heard the name before, but I did some research on him. He's just an MLB player. He's catching a lot of shit on Twitter because he said that, according to his source, Spring Training 2, which is like this, they started spring training, but they didn't get to finish because of Corona, will start June 10th with the season starting July 1st. And there's been a lot of media sources that are calling him a liar, saying that's not true. That's not when it's going to start. But, I mean, there's good news. I'm 100% positive we're going to have an MLB season. This weekend, we get sports back. We get UFC 249. Me and Josh have already made our picks. I can't fucking wait, dude. I'm going to be glued to the TV all day. I think the early prelims usually start about 6 or 7. Then you get to the regular prelims about 8. Then the main card usually starts around 10. And this is just stacked. There's a bunch of... Bryce Mitchell is on the early prelims, and he was on the Ultimate Fighter. That's how I know him. He's a good old country boy from the South somewhere. I'm not sure. But he can brawl, so this is going to be a good card. I can't wait for it.
I think he is from Kentucky or Arkansas. Maybe Arkansas.
Arkansas sounds right. Let me look it up just to make sure. Yeah, Arkansas sounds right. Let's see,
and I'm pretty sure he bought a camper or a double or a single wide, and then
Arkansas,
this huge lean-to. He was in a podcast that I listened to, and I think at one point while he was building the lean-to, he stuck the drill in his pants to go climb down the ladder, and it went off, and he had to drive himself to the hospital with his Johnson almost cut in half. He was like bleeding out on the way. Yeah, he got his junk tangled up in that drill, and it absolutely destroyed his junk. But I mean, fortunately for him, they got everything pieced back together. So
Luckily for me, I'm packing a little bit down there, so it'd probably take more like a chainsaw to fuck mine up. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't think a little drill DeWalt's gonna do anything to this guy down here. I'm just fucking around, guys. All right, while we're on the sports talk, Florida lost the offensive tackle that was already on campus. He's entered the transfer portal. Isaiah Walker, he's a former 4-star. Like I said, he just got on campus in January, early enrollee. I was looking for him, honestly, in my opinion, to make some push these older guys for some reps, some starting reps. I don't know where the hell he's going. He said he didn't really give a reason, but a lot of people are speculating that he's homesick. He's from Miami, and there's a lot of smoke that he's going to Florida State, so it's not really much closer at all. Maybe further. I don't fucking know. I don't know how the geography works down there in Florida, but I mean, he hasn't even been on campus long. I mean, January, you think maybe a month he was on campus, and then they sent all the players home and all the students home to go home for the pandemic. And so I don't know what the fuck he's talking about. He's homesick. He's been home for 3 months. So I just don't know if he didn't like the culture up there at University of Florida or what, but he's gone. But he's a big kid, 6'4", 290.
Do you think it's kind of odd these days because you see a bunch, I mean, and you didn't see it as much back 10, 15 years ago where guys would commit to a school, get there, and if they really didn't get their way or didn't get the position they wanted or the starting position they want, they just kind of, I mean, they kind of just tear out. They pack up their things and are gone.
Right.
And so, I mean, I don't know if that's a cultural thing now or
I think it is.
if I don't understand it because a lot of these guys will, in my personal opinion, that's what Justin Fields did. Now, you could say I was wrong, but in my personal opinion, Justin Fields thought he was a better football player than Jake Fromm. Is he? We don't know because the year before we saw Justin Fields put in reps and he looked like shit. I mean, if we're going to be honest with you, would never let a play develop, and that's exactly why he was sitting on the bench. And then you come up with these wild ass stories of why he left and he went ahead and got transferred where he was not held back a year.
He got his waiver.
Unlike Jason Easton, who had to sit out a year. So,
right.
And it really kind of, that's what pissed me off so much about him leaving. It was not actually losing him as a football player because, I mean, if we're being honest, I think the only reason that he got the numbers that he got last year was that he played bad defenses. I mean, there's a couple of exceptions, but I mean,
yeah.
And I'm not saying he's a bad football player. I'm just saying
he's a phenomenal football player for sure.
Like I said,
he knew,
I think he knew what he was doing.
He knew what he was getting into when he came to Georgia. He knew Fromm had played exceptional.
Especially when he pulled the race card saying that he felt like he was I think there was this whole kind of deal with a baseball player or something that was taken out of context, and then they used it to get him his pass. But I feel like if his parents, from what I understand, his sister still plays softball at UGA.
Right.
From what I understand. So if they really had a concern about racism at UGA or that they thought that something bad was going to happen because of racism, I feel like you would have pulled your daughter out too. So that's the reason I have an issue with him is because, number one, you leave a team when you didn't get the position you thought you deserved. And then number two, because you want to avoid a penalty that everybody else has to do. You pull the race card. That's what pissed me off about it. But, I mean, it's done, over with. Nobody gives a shit anymore.
Well, the NCAA is creating these fucking controversies, and they really give no guidelines to what you have to get the waiver to get your eligibility back, and they're creating a lot of fucking confusion to me. What was that kid's name? Luke Ford, maybe played tight end at UGA, and he wanted to move closer because his grandpa was dying, had a sickness or something.
Yeah,
he didn't get his waiver.
He had cancer.
Yeah, he didn't get his waiver, but you give it to Fields, and Fields, I get it. Somebody called him the N-word.
Well, and it wasn't even directed. From what I've heard, that someone was pissed off with Jake Fromm because he threw an interception or it was one of his off games or something like that. And he said, y'all need to put my N-word in. Now, whether he knows Justin Fields or not, I don't see that he was using it in any derogatory. I mean, like I said, not black. Y'all could have a different opinion. I don't care. But I mean, I don't think he was using it in a derogatory way.
Right, I agree.
So,
I know the reason Justin Fields transferred is because, this is coming from an outside source that has no bias towards the University of Florida. I mean, towards the University of Georgia. Sorry, I'm a University of Florida fan. So this is what I seen. I seen, and I read on message boards that this is exactly what happened. So I'm gonna tell you what I've heard. Justin Fields came in, and Kirby Smart promised him a fair shot at the job. Now, nobody knows whether he got that or not. I don't know. He might have. I mean, I've heard rumors on the message boards that Justin Fields wasn't performing very well in practices. If you don't practice good, you're not going to play, especially over Jake Fromm, who played exceptional
I mean, as
his
far as
freshman
I'm
year.
concerned, he didn't perform very well in the situations that they did let him get into a game. I mean,
Well, I'm getting to that. Kirby Smart, in my opinion, when they put Justin Fields in the game, I feel like they set him up for failure. I just feel like he wasn't. Now, I don't think he should have been starting over Fromm because Fromm played very exceptional for a freshman. Took him to the national championship game. You're not going to come in there and just be handed the job after Jake Fromm leads you to the national championship game. So Justin Fields knew what he was getting into, in my opinion. I feel like when they did put him in, especially in the SEC championship game, made him look like an idiot. That's a dumb call. I don't care what anybody says. You put Justin Fields out there on the punt team. He's never out there on the punt team. You're facing Nick Saban. That's not going to slide with Nick Saban. They knew exactly what was coming. I mean, and then I felt like you could see Georgia fans lashing out at Fields after that on social media. They're like, God, he's an idiot. All this stuff. I was like, dude.
well, and
You could have put Jake Fromm out there, and same thing would happen.
That one play, like I said, I know exactly what you're talking about. That, I mean, obviously was not a smart move. I don't know why the play was called. It was a stupid play in the first place. But
Right.
as we see the sophomore year, which would have been his freshman year, which would have been Jake Fromm's sophomore year, they would, I mean, when we're up 40-0 or 40-7, they would put him in, take Fromm out. Obviously, you always do that when you're up that lead. You don't want your starting QB to get hurt. And the man would not let a play develop. As soon as he would never stay in the pocket, as soon as he saw a threat, he would not rely on his guys and trust his guys to make a block. He's bolting and then would get smoked. I mean, you might have been able to do that in high school. You can't do that in college football. And
Right. And I think a lot of that comes with experience. I just don't think he got a whole lot of game experience. I know. Okay, so the game I want to focus on is the University of Florida game in Jacksonville, Fields' freshman year. Kirby at this point has already burnt Justin Fields' red shirt. So I felt like he kind of fucked him on that. And then even when Georgia was up big, it wasn't really a blowout or anything, but they were up a couple scores. You still never saw Fields come off the bench. What does Mullen do? Mullen throws Emory Jones out there, and he's getting reps as a freshman. This is what I heard. I heard towards the end of the fourth quarter, Justin Fields was mad because his red shirt's already burnt, so he can't redshirt. He's already played in 4 games. Slams his helmet down. He's pissed off because he's not getting any reps. That I feel like Kirby Smart, when he recruited him, the coaches are going to tell you what they want you to hear to get you on campus. That's every coach. Don't give a fuck who it is. He's not getting the reps he's promised, especially that game, that big of a game. I know Justin Fields from the competitor side wanted to be on that field. When he didn't, I think that's when he said, fuck it, I'm out. I think from that point on, you saw a different Justin Fields. And you could tell, I could see the look on his face in the Sugar Bowl. I was like, he's gone. He's transferring. I mean, he hadn't come out and said it publicly yet, but I mean, it was pretty obvious. But so he didn't get his way, and he transferred. And he hired all these guys that are transferring. They get attorneys to help them file their waiver. And the attorney's job is to get you that waiver, make sure you're accepted, make sure you don't have to sit a year. So of course the attorney's going to turn to the race thing. Like you said, I think it was blown out of proportion. But that's the lawyer's job, and the NCAA's hands were probably tied on that one. They're probably like, fuck, okay, yeah. I mean, this is a real situation. He gets it. But the one that really pissed me off is Tate Martell. This motherfucker was like 3rd string at Ohio State, just transfers to Miami and gets a waiver. No reason. I mean, what was his reason? The NCAA, I mean, I don't think he had a good reason other than he's fucking trash and he's sitting on the bench. Anyway, he got what he had coming to him. He got his year eligibility, and the fucker played in like 3 games and played wide receiver in 2 of them. Get the fucking dude's trash. But anyway, so I think back to the culture issue. I think in this day and age with the social media, the 247's rankings, people get hyped up. Like, these guys think they're supposed to come in. If you're a 4-star, you're supposed to start day one. That's not how it's going to go in college, buddy. You got 4 and 5 stars in front of you, especially at a premier university like Georgia, Florida, Ohio State, Alabama. You're not LSU. You're not coming in day one and starting. Most of the time, unless you're at a position of need, you're not going to get in there and get first team reps immediately. So I think this social media and rankings has really messed up the culture in college football, where these kids expect something that's not given, it's earned. So you got to earn that shit.
They expect respect as soon as they step onto the college campus. I mean,
Right.
at that point, yeah. I mean, you've earned your respect in high school. You've got your 4 or 5 star rating, but I mean, once you step foot on that spring field, your 4 and 5 star rating don't mean nothing.
Don't mean
I mean,
shit.
it doesn't mean nothing. Okay, because
Right.
if you don't perform at practice, I hate it for you. I don't care how many. I don't care how good that or well that you're rated by anyone. That you're not getting reps. And I know you made a mention to the Georgia Florida game where we were up, but you got to me, if you look at it from a coaching standpoint, you've seen what Justin has done on the field. I mean, I think the first game that he got put in, he threw 2 interceptions back to back. So, I mean, when you look at a game that's as competitive as the UGA Florida game, it really never matters who's really good or who's really bad. I mean, Georgia could be really bad one year, Florida could be really good one year, and Georgia come back and beat Florida just because there's such deep hatred. And I mean, the game is such a big game. It's in a huge environment. Everybody's getting pumped. So to me, I don't think that was him getting screwed. I think that was Kirby kind of being smart because, I mean, we were up by 2 touchdowns. Maybe.
Yeah, it ended up being a one-score game, I believe.
Exactly, and it ended up being a 1-score game. So,
Right.
Are you going to put a player who has not been battle tested? I mean, necessarily, he's probably had like 10 snaps the entire season, maybe. Are you going to put him in there and risk him coming back from a 2-score? Because, I mean, everybody knows when you're in SEC football, a 2-score lead that's not a commanding lead. Anything could happen. And when you're looking at somebody who's already thrown a couple interceptions in the maybe 10 snaps he's already had, no. I mean, to me, that was a coaching call that it was made that said we need to keep Fry. I don't think it had anything to do with screwing him out of his reps, or I mean, he just didn't perform well.
Right, and I agree with that. But I look at it from Fields' point of view, and I see his concern. He could have easily redshirted and still played in 4 games, but Kirby burnt them the first 4 games of the year. And if you're not going to play him every game, why burn his red shirt? Like, you just pretty much wasted a year of his eligibility. But I also get it from Kirby's. His job is to win the game. I get it from both sides. So, but I was just saying that I think that's where Justin Fields decided he was gone. I think he probably went home, thought about it Sunday, probably talked to his family, and then they made the decision that if it didn't get any better, he was gone. And anyway, let's move on. So I sent you that YouTube video about Carol Baskin's first interview since the Tiger King series aired. You watched it, right?
Yeah, I did.
Dude, was that shit not hilarious?
Dude, I mean, really, the edits on what's his name's voice, it was so freaking bad.
Jimmy Fallon?
Yeah.
It was terrible.
The edits on his voice was so bad that I'm like, dude, this woman has to be a moron.
She is, dude.
Like,
she's a
she
fucking
has
idiot.
To be a moron because, and at first I was like, when you sent me that, I was like, dude, there's no way this is real. I was like, it's obviously been poorly edited Fallon's voice, and then they edited Carol Baskin's voice really, really well. And then I'm sitting here reading the comments on it, and apparently, I mean, from what I can tell,
it's real for sure.
It's legit.
It's real, yeah.
I mean, this woman is
because they had the emails and shit.
Yeah,
and when
she's legit a moron. Like, I mean, you literally think you're going to go on Fallon, and I know that they've been doing all this quarantine stuff from home and things like that. Yeah. So, I mean, a bunch of the big name night shows have been doing their stuff from their study at home. So, I mean, obviously, that was the best situation they had to do this kind of thing.
Yeah,
but
it was fucking good shit.
I mean, she'd be saying something about tigers, and they'd be like, "Well, how has this quarantine been?" And it was just like stutter. I'm like, dude, I really couldn't believe that she fell for something like that.
Dude, it was hilarious. So if y'all don't know what we're talking about, I can, if you want to know, watch the video, just shoot me a message on Facebook or text me, whatever. I'll send you the link. These YouTubers basically tricked Carol Baskins into thinking she was coming on to the Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon, and she would be doing an interview. They basically, it took a lot of time what they did, but it really was poorly put together. They took like clips of him talking about cats and asking questions and uploaded it to like a soundboard, kind of like we got on our studio thing we were working with now. And they got her on like a Zoom call and fucking the dude was like, "Hey, you won't be able to see Jimmy, but you'll be able to hear him." Fuck, I mean, right there, I'm like, "Yeah, right, bitch, no chance." But they ask her questions, and it's Jimmy Fallon's voice asking the questions. It's fucking hilarious. I thought that was pretty funny. But at first, if you watch the video, it showed where they tried to reach out to her, and she said that she wasn't going to be doing any interviews. That's the exact same message I got when I asked her to come on my podcast. Shit was hilarious. I was like, that's word for word the exact same message. But anyway, I thought that was pretty funny. Carol went on there and looked like a straight dumbass, and I'm sure I'd be scared if I was these YouTubers because Carol has killed before, so could be on the Hillary Clinton type hit list now. Who knows? All right, so a couple episodes ago, maybe a week or two ago, we talked about Andy Dalton getting cut or released from the Bengals. And I talked so much shit about this guy. And guess where? It never fails. Guess where he ends up? Fucking Dallas, my team. Doug Nussmeier is the worst offense coordinator at the University of Florida has ever seen. We fire McElwain, he fires Nussmeier, whatever. Guess where he ends up? The fucking Cowboys. I'm just tired of this shit, dude. The Cowboys need to make... He's not a bad backup, I'm going to be honest with you. If Dak goes down, he's probably one of the better backups in the league. But fuck, dude. Every time I talk shit about somebody, the Cowboys going, fuck me. So,
I mean, and like you said, it's not a bad backup. But at this point, I mean, you have so many QBs to choose.
Exactly, dude.
You're choosing this getting older, kind of out of his prime. I mean, like, look, he might come and surprise us. Dallas's QB might get hurt, and then he comes out and leads them to a Super Bowl. I'm not saying something like that can't happen, but it doesn't seem like an intelligent pick to me.
Right, and we just drafted a quarterback. Like, let's try to develop him, and if Dak goes down, let's try to get him some reps.
But I mean, Dalton might just be trying to, cruise out the end of his career, make a little bit of change before.
Well, he's making a little bit. I can't remember. I think it's like $7 million, $3 million, some shit like that. 1 year deal.
1 year deal for $7 million. Dude, listen, I'll go out there and for $1 million, I'll be the Cowboys quarterback. Now, you're not going to get anything out of me, and you might have the worst season ever. Actually, you would have the worst season ever. Like, guaranteed the worst season ever. But, I mean, for $7 million for a 1 year contract, this man might, other than, what's Florida State?
Willie Taggart?
Other than Willie Taggart,
the biggest finesser ever.
The biggest thug I've ever seen in my life, dude. Willie Taggart finessed the hell out of FSU, walks away with a clean $22 million. So, I mean, Dalton, he's got his head in the right place. He might be getting a little to the end of his prime, but dude, his brain's firing off on all 8 cylinders.
Yeah.
I mean, $7 million to sit on the bench for a year.
Right.
Dude, I mean, like I said,
he's not having a Joe Biden episode. His brain is still working.
He's still firing off on all 8 cylinders.
All right. The last thing I want to talk about, and I just was watching YouTube videos. I was on the deep depths of YouTube last night, and I found some video about Navy SEALs and SEAL Team 6 training, and actually it went into when they killed Bin Laden. It like showed how they prepared for it. Dude, it was fucking. These dudes are the most badass dudes on earth. I don't give a fuck about the Army Rangers are badasses. All the military are badasses, 100%, no doubt about it. But these dudes are a different fucking breed, yo.
You need to go online and look up which documentaries are on Netflix or Hulu about the Navy SEAL Hell Week, because I've seen a couple of them, and it is absolutely brutal what these guys go through. And I mean, once you watch that, you understand why these dudes are so damn tough. I mean,
these dudes are bad, dude.
It's absolutely ridiculous what they go through. I mean, even an hour of what they do, 30 minutes of what they do when they first get there. I'm like, dude, I'd have tapped out 10 minutes ago, dude. I'm going home. See ya.
And a lot of them do. It's only a lot of them don't. You can be in the Navy. There's a difference between Navy and Navy SEALs. I don't know if you guys know. If you're a Navy SEAL in general, badass, don't care. These fuckers, I mean, they go out, they lock arms. There's like 100 of them out there. They go out into the surf, like the small waves, and they have to just lay there and get fucking. It's like torture, like waterboarding kind of. They do that, and then if you're a SEAL, you can try to be on one of the SEAL teams. There's like 1, 2, 10, 8, and 6, I think, something like that. But if you make one of those teams, bad motherfucker, don't care what you did. So one of the exercises, and this is where I would have lost my fucking mind because I can't stand to be like claustrophobic. I'm kind of like claustrophobic and shit like that, and I feel like this would trigger a panic attack immediately. They tie their hands on together and their feet together, throw their ass in a pool, and at first you have to bob for 15 minutes. Just sit there and bob. Then you got to go down, touch the bottom, and come up for 15 minutes. Keep coming up. Then they throw a pair of fucking goggles in there, and you have to go down and pick them up with your teeth, come up and bob for 15 minutes, and then you just got to bob for 15 more minutes. And that's not even like, holy fuck. They said, I think less than 25% make it through the Navy SEAL training. But SEAL Team 6 is a special branch. I can't remember what they called it of the SEALs, and these dudes are fucking special operations. I can't remember how.
If I'm remembering correctly, answers only to the President of the United States.
Well, they do.
If I
Secretary
remember correctly,
there's 2 of them. They answer to, of course, their superior. There's somebody running SEAL Team 6.
Yeah.
So then the Secretary of Defense and the President, the only people they answer to. They have their own budget figured into the United States budget or whatever. They can buy whatever the fuck they want. They've got all the badass equipment. They've got a thing, like most of the times when you go on dives, you take oxygen tanks. Not these motherfuckers. They have some kind of thing that goes on the front of them, and it's called a rebreather. Like you breathe into it, and then it filters out the carbon monoxide or whatever, and then you only breathe in oxygen. And they went down 1,000 feet. I can't remember. They said it was 10 times further than what normal divers go. There's no bubbles. They go up on plant mines on a boat and blow that motherfucker to hell. But when they went and got Osama, so the SEALs built an exact replica. They had intel on Osama's compound, and they built an exact replica of his compound, and they trained in it for 3 straight months every day, 90 days. And they had no idea who they were going to kill. They knew it was somebody with Al-Qaeda, but they didn't know it was bin Laden. So they go to take off, and there's 2 some kind of stealth helicopters and 2 regular helicopters. And they used radar jammers to jam the radars. Anyway, when they take off, that's when they get the news. They're like, all right, we're going to kill Osama. They're like, oh, fuck yeah. These dudes are a different breed, I'm telling you. So the first helicopter lands and fucking clips like the side of the compound and fucks it all up. They didn't panic. All the other helicopters, they go in there, they kill everybody, fucked everybody up, shot Osama. There's some kind of special software where they can scan the face. So they scan the face with the software, send it back. They're like, yep, that's him. So they drag his body out. They set explosives on the helicopter that they crashed because it's not operable, and they don't want to give away, their technology or whatever. Blow that motherfucker up and then haul ass back to America. They're fucking badass dudes, bro.
Well,
they are bad dudes.
I've heard before that parents it's more likely for your kid to be a Harvard honor graduate than to be a Navy SEAL.
Yeah, it said it in that documentary last night. It actually said you're more likely to have 2 of your kids graduate from Harvard than have 1 become a SEAL Team 6 member. That's fucking crazy, dude. These dudes are very smart. All of them speak at least 2 languages. These guys are the best of the best. And they were interviewing one of them. He said, I can walk into a room and you can have one Navy SEAL in the room with 1,000 people, and I can point him out to you. They just have a certain swagger about them. They carry themselves different. They're bad motherfuckers, dude. I'd hate to run up on one of them, get my shit straight clapped. But anyway, I think that's all we got today, Josh. You got anything else?
One thing I do want to talk about, I don't know if you've seen it, but there was a Texas salon owner who decided she wasn't closing her salon during the mandated quarantine, and she was actually arrested, and it just came out 9 minutes ago that one of the state's top officials had vowed to pay her fines to free her. I don't know. I saw, speaking of SEALs, Dan Crenshaw, who is now in, he's in Congress. He's a United States congressman now, I believe. And it might have been him who said, because I saw on his Twitter this morning that he was talking about, and his Instagram, that he was talking about this situation. And one thing we have to realize, and disturbs me the greatest about this whole entire situation, is that to me, at this point, with the government officials that we have, most of these officials that we have don't realize that the government did not give the American citizens their rights.
Right.
When the Constitution was signed, these were God-given rights that our forefathers decided this is what we should be able to. These are the most important rights that you have as a human being. The government didn't sit down and say, okay, well, we'll give them a right to free speech up until we decide that they don't need it. That was, I mean, our right to free speech is stopped by no man, no matter his government official. And that's what concerns me the most, is because if I feel like our government officials today, I mean, and this goes for a lot of Republicans also, don't feel like that's the situation. I think that they feel like that they can, I mean, drop of a hand can tell us what we can and can't do.
Right.
So, I mean, this lady was pulled out of her salon for defying these orders. And when she went to court, because I don't know if they actually had the court case yet.
Yeah, they have. She was sentenced to a week in jail. I read it earlier, 1 week.
But I mean, she made a really good point where she said the state deemed this to be to be non-essential, but I feel like it's really essential that I feed my children. She said there was a lot of people that she knows in the salon business and in the hair business that they were going hungry because they were trying to feed their kids.
Right.
So who is the U.S. government to decide what is essential and what is not?
Right.
And
I 100% agree.
I mean, and now this lady, she's got that on her record. Like I said, it was probably just a misdemeanor. I don't know what.
Should be a misdemeanor.
I don't know, but I mean, I think it's absolutely ridiculous that even happened, number one.
Right.
And
I agree.
then when something like that happens and the police come out and there's some dude or a cop gets shot or a citizen gets shot and they're going to blame it on it's a disaster waiting to happen with these, when you're sending deputies in to take people out of their privately owned businesses. And these people don't know why they can't make money, because your Walmart's still making money down the road. McDonald's, Wendy's, Chick-fil-A, they're all still making money.
Yep.
But yet you're telling these people who rely on that $15-$20 per head that they're cutting, who rely on that money to feed their kids, to pay their light bill, to pay their power bill. It's just, to me, it's extremely absurd. And I think that if our forefathers saw what our government's doing us today, they would absolutely roll over in their grave. I mean, that's just my spill. I wanted to kind of touch on it because it was updated a couple minutes ago.
Yep. And I heard Joe Rogan say something on this podcast I was listening to the other day. Where does it stop? Like once they take the shit, they were talking about tracking you. They were talking about some country that was putting some kind of chips or something. They were going through the process of trying to do that. And once they were saying that they're only going to track you during the coronavirus just to see if you've come into contact with somebody that had it. Anyway,
I think that's a lot of people's main concern about Bill Gates, this vaccine that he's supposedly coming up with.
Yeah.
That I think that's a lot of people's concerned about that, because, I mean, nobody trusts these people these days. I mean, you can't trust them.
And once they put that chip in you, you can fucking guarantee you they're going to come up. Once the coronavirus ends, they're going to be tracking you for the seasonal flu. Dude, they're going to be tracking you for a fucking strep throat. You're not getting that freedom back once you give it to them. So I think there's a time you have to stand up and.
Because, like I said, Apple, I know, has a bunch of really, really strict, places, or I can't think of the word, But they're really strict on what they give the government. I know there was a shooting, I'm pretty sure it was in San Diego. I could be wrong. But these guys were actually linked to some kind of terrorist organization. And the feds could not get the phone unlocked. They couldn't get the information out of it. And Apple refused to unlock the phones for them. And, I mean, to me, yeah, it kind of put a bump in the road for that investigation. But it gave me more faith in carrying around a cell phone like we have today, which can be tracked. I mean, your location is turned on. It doesn't matter if it's off or on. Your phone's getting tracked, no matter if your location is off or on or not. So It gave me more confidence in the situation that, I mean, smartphones are not basic necessities, but I mean, in the days of technology that we're living in now, it's hard to stay away from them. So it gave me a lot more confidence in companies like that do have really, really strict restrictions on who can and cannot access your information like that. But if they'd have to kill me to put that chip in there, because I'm not.
Yeah, you're not getting that freedom back once you give it to them. That was what Joe Rogan and the guy he had on there, I can't remember his name, were talking about. Interesting technology. At a certain point, technology can be dangerous. I'm just going to say that.
Well, and I think it was Benjamin Franklin that said, whoever gives up freedom for safety deserves neither. So, I mean, you just really got to be careful with things like that. I mean,
right.
So it's obviously scary. And I mean, these times we're living in are scary too. So.
Yep. Anyway, that's going to do it for today, guys. This is an absolutely great episode. Make sure you subscribe on all platforms. Share it. Tell your friends about it. We're trying to grow this thing. We do it for fun, but we want more listeners, more feedback. We're trying to grow into something here. I don't know what it is, but as always, it's been a pleasure. Y'all have a great rest of your week. Stay safe out there. Peace.
Holla.
Thanks for tuning into the B-Max Sports Podcast.
40, run, Lindsay, 25, 20, 50, 10, 5, Lindsay, stop.
We hope you enjoyed today's episode.
I love the show, guys. You're awesome.
Listen, my whole family loves it, man.
I never miss an episode. It's the best.
We'll see you next week.
Go rock this thing, huh? Love you, man. Go get it.